What are sayings you grew up hearing only to find out they were unique to your family? My mom would always say, "It's behind the milk," when we would look for something and couldn't find it. Inevitably, whatever we were looking for one day was simply behind the milk in the fridge and we couldn't find it. My mom exclaimed this from across the house in frustration, and it became the exclamation for anything someone is trying to find. Meaning look harder, actually move other objects instead of just blankly staring. Edit, thanks for the silver. As a kid, whenever I would say, "I don't know what to wear," my grandma would say, "Put a raisin in your belly button and go as a cookie." I used to run a pub. I had to refuse to serve a rather inebriated young man. Rather than say, "You think you're the best thing since sliced bread," he actually said, "You think you're a slice of bread." Since then, in our family, anytime one of us does something rather clever, we are accused of thinking we are a slice of bread. This whole thread is giving me nostalgia for people I don't even know. My stepfather would point at his head and say, "Kidneys man, kidneys," when he got credit for stuff answering a trivia question, for example. I use it with my students all the time. My dad would tell us to cough it up. It could be a gold watch, if you were coughing. I never understand it. Younger me, "Dad, I don't want to walk downstairs at night. It's too dark. Dad, there's no monsters. We can't afford monsters." When my great-grandpa would be asked if he was ready, he would say, "Well, I ain't Freddy, I am Freddy's brother, Kilowatt." No one understood, but when I am the ancient person in the family, I am gonna start saying it too, to bewilder my younger family members. Me, "What are you doing?" "Dad, obviously just watching TV, I'm digging a hole." The term, to disconcur, meaning to disagree. Tried using it once in a class and got some serious sideways looks. Teacher had to break it to me that it is not a valid word. One I still don't understand is, "What are you doing? Posing for animal crackers?" I mean, I understood the meaning, but the reference was beyond me. Basically when I was standing around during work and not doing anything. Dad had a lot of weird ones. Red shoes, no knickers. My mom said this, that there's an implication women wearing red shoes weren't wearing any undies. Still haven't met anyone who has ever heard of it. What time dark, was something we would say to ask like the general question of when was like dinner and downtime. Turns out my parents were ass-face drunk on vacation in a different part of the world before me and my sister were born when my mom turned to my dad and proclaimed, "What time dark?" Because she wanted to see the sun set but couldn't get the thoughts together. So from 1 to 16 I thought it was a common saying, and from 16 to 24 when my mom passed, every time she said something stupid we would just go, "What time dark?" You got goats, my family's way of saying you had a wedgie, because it looked like there was a goat in your crack eating your pants. Quite embarrassing when I found out that wasn't a common phrase. If we were having a hard time doing a puzzle or something, Mom would tell us, "You gotta hold your teeth right." Whenever she bought us presents they came from the Gettin' place. Born up a tree, is my family version of bon appetit. Growing up with an Asian mom that was working on perfecting her English, she would often say, "Ah, that is the suck," instead of, "You know, that sucks." Didn't take long for us to catch on and correct her, but it was so funny we just kinda stuck to it, so when something is shitty now I'll instinctively say in my head, "Well, that is the suck." Mom, you'd never notice on a galloping horse. No one really looks closely at you. When something new turned up and we'd ask my dad where it came from, his reply was always, "Stole it from a blind man down on the corner." My nan and mom would always say, "You're nosy for a cabbage," when I would try to ask about stuff that wasn't my business, not sure if it's unique to us but I've never heard anyone else say it. Dad would always say, "Hotter than a garlic fart." Never heard anyone else say that. I'm sure this is actually super common, but it comes from my great-grandma. She only spoke Hungarian and what little English she did know were translations of her favorite Hungarian swears. She would often call people, especially my father, "bitch bastard," in both languages. It stuck in most of my family on that side refer to each other as bitch bastards, which does cover most bases. She's got an ass like a harvest frog. From my Irish granddad. I still don't know what it means, though I do know it wasn't a compliment. Whenever we were to fend for ourselves for dinner, my mom called it, "Get your oni, get you your oni." I have yet to hear anyone else say it and I stole it from my dad, but if something was broken he would say, "It's bucking fusted, miss you dad." Whenever I didn't like something, my dad would say, "Well, it likes you." It called the other day and said so. It could be anything, broccoli, a hamburger, the neighbor's cat. Whatever I didn't like or want to try, he had always gotten a call. My dad doesn't swear, so he always uses the word, suck. What the suck is going on here? You're all sucked up. It would always make me and my friends laugh. He also uses the word bunghole. That guy's a real bunghole. He has a ton of other phrases I can't think of right now. My mom would always say, don't think about penguins, when we got hurt, and we would obviously and immediately start thinking about penguins and why we shouldn't be thinking about them, and we would stop crying. My dad always used, "it's broke" with a capital F, as his way of saying, it's completely ducked, but without swearing in front of us as kids. My dad always said, life is like a bowl of cherries but you just gotta watch out for the shit underneath. And to this day I have no ducking clue what it means. I asked him and he said one day you'll get it. Well dad, I'm 36 and have no clue. Edit. No response yet. I'll update as soon as we talk. When pulling out of the driveway for a trip, and we're off, like a herd of turtles. Growing up, my working-class English mum used to cheerfully call me Lizzie from the boneyard, especially if I was being sort of grubby or rascally. My name is not Elizabeth. One day I finally asked her why she called me that. She wondered for a minute and said, I don't know, it's what my mum used to call me. One day we visited Grandma in the home, and asked her why she used to call my mum, Sue, Lizzie from the boneyard. I don't know, said Grandma, whose name was Brenda. It's what my mum used to call me. My dad is a neurologist. Anytime I complained that I was bored he would ask me, board certified? Took years for me to finally get it. Whenever I'd get in trouble, my mom always used to say, girl, you must think fat meat ain't greasy. I'ma show you. Never understood what it meant and to this day, I barely understand. Looked it up recently though, and apparently it's a phrase that is pretty much exclusively used by African Americans. Almost forgot about this one, but when I'd ask my mom what was for dinner, one of her favorite responses used to be, air pie and wind pudding. Never heard anyone else in my life say this LMAO. Just like downtown, my immigrant dad has picked up a lot of American idioms, but some of them he's made up. He uses this whenever he thinks he done something really well, like a perfect parking job. He also uses actual phrases excessively. Like he'll also say, call it a day, after a perfect parking job. Really, he's just super proud of his parking skills. When my grandma would say, I got a bone in my leg, when she asked us kids to fetch stuff for her. It was her reason for not doing it herself. I felt so bad for her when I was super small. I really thought she'd hurt her leg or something. Like, would you bring me an iced tea? I got a bone in my leg. Get your poop in a group. Yeah, no, instead of, get your shit together. Anytime I'd ask my mom where she was going she'd shout, crazy. Want to go with me? Also, if you asked her to make you a sandwich she'd always say, poof. You're a sandwich. My dad also used the word, dummard, a lot. Like his own personal synonym for dumbass. When mom was angry about something and we'd ask her, what's for lunch? She'd put her hands on her hips and exclaim, fried assholes. My dad sang opera, so when he came to pick me up from grade school, he'd always sing my name for everyone to hear. Builds character, I guess. My nan used to say, who's she, the cat's mother, whenever you told a story with too many pronouns and she lost track of characters. Whoa Jackson, was something my dad always said. He swore it was a thing in the 70s, which my mom would always shake her head behind him and mouth, it was never a thing. My mom always says, I'm ducking this monkey, you just hold the tail, when she's doing something and we're helping. I'm going to start drinking, and I don't mean Diet Coke. My mom when angry. Happy anniversary, in the context of, duck you. My dad would say, I don't give a flying duck on a rolling donut. My mom said something really funny once while we were getting ready to run out. She said, mirror mirror on the wall, you better ducking lie to me. Since then it's stuck and we say it before we leave to go out. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I didn't expect this would be my highest voted comment, but I'm really glad it is. I told my mom about it and she laughed. I just want to thank her for her great sense of humor, beauty and wit. She's an incredible woman and is glad to bring some cheer. Edit 2.0. Thank you for the 2 gold and the love. Grin thumbs up.